Welcome everyone, hope you're all doing well. This is a creative design team project for Tracie Fox Creative. Tracie's social media will be linked down below, as will any digitals that are used in this project. Now, the Foxy creative design team includes a number of amazing talented creators whose channels will also be linked below, so go and check them out. Grab yourself a cuppa and I hope you enjoyed this video. So I'm on with the flip through of this journal that I've made for my project this month. So the kits that I've used for this one are the Fragmentology journal pages and the corresponding Fragmentology ephemera kit. I've also used the Tickets Please kit. So they went really nicely together for this. I've also used lots of blank vintage book pages like this that I pull out of all the books to back a lot of my ephemera. And I've used some vintage and antique book pictures and words and that sort of thing as well, like the one on the front here. So, and I'd like to thank the lovely Tracie Fox for the beautiful kits. I've had an absolute blast making this. So it is a used book cover. I didn't want to have to extend the spine, so I shoved stuff in there and it's got a bit gator-mouthed and doesn't quite sit flat and all that, but that's all right. I love it. So all I've done is used a book picture on the front. I have Mod Podged over it just to protect it a bit. I've used some vintage buttons and some material and some of the Fragmentology labels and word, little pen nib that I've just sewn onto the label before I stuck it on. On the spine, I was getting a whole lot of encyclopedias, so I cut some of the bits off of the spines to keep. And I decided just to use some of that on the spine to cover up the words and that were on there. And on the back, I've used some of the Tickets Please paper, which I have also mod podged over. I always say Mod Podge. Now, I've used this belt. I don't think it's leather. It's hard to tell. But I have used brads to secure that. I've stuck it down on the back and used a brad just to secure it there. I've used this compass brad to secure it to the spine so it's not going anywhere in a hurry. And I've used another brad on the front to secure it, but it is loose just here, so you could use that as a little belly band if you wanted to slip something down the front. I've done a little bit of stamping, which worked out really nicely on the belt. Now I've got this little dangle here. This was gifted to me by the lovely Ruth Burr, who is on YouTube as well, so I'll link her down below. She's a lovely, lovely lady, a fellow Aussie YouTuber. She was decluttering and gave me a whole pile of crafty stuff, which was so generous. And amongst that was a whole lot of jewellery bits and pieces. And there was this. It's actually off of some clothing from a clothing store called Rivers that we have here. And it had the Rivers logo in the middle, so I've just covered that up with this. It's punched kit paper and I just stamped on it, but it says leather lining around the outside and I really liked that, so I thought I'd add that piece. And then we've got a little dangle here. Now this is a Tracie clip, I call them. Tracie clip. They're hidden paper clips that Tracie made in one of her videos recently that we've all been making. Absolutely love them. Mine was a bit of a dog's breakfast, but it's all right. So, and I had a little charm that says spirit on it, so I've put that there as well. So we will get into it. I've put some book corners on the corners just because when you use the old book covers, they've usually got raggedy corners. Not that these corners are much better after I used the pliers to put them on. They're a bit bent, but that's all right. Okay, so we'll get into this. So a lot of the bits in here are actually antique pieces out of a 1922 Bookman magazine that I had. I have a few of them here, so I thought it's about time I actually used one of them. So just used fabric on the spine. It is a hidden spine, and I've used a lot of fly pages from books, the coloured fly pages, which I use in most of my journals. So yes, there's just some adverts here about holiday reading and Oxford books. So it's quite heavily based on the Bookman magazine and sort of book themes in some ways. So I've got the date of the Bookman magazine now, August 1922. So you would have seen previously I did do a video on how I made this tag. So I will show you quickly again. It's a little flip out tag. So it can be journaled on there and journaled on the back. And that just wraps around. Now, when I showed this video, I had looped this string in the other way and it wasn't sitting very nicely. So I just took it out and stuck the string through the hole the other way. I'm still learning which way works with that sort of thing. And that sits a lot better now. And I put a little knot in the end of the string. It's got a little pocket there. Now, with a lot of the pages from the Fragmentology kit, I cut bits out. I printed it a few times, cut bits out so I could do some layering to create pockets and tucks and that, which I've done here. I created this slide. I have a lot of dies here which I haven't been using. So one of my aims this year was to use a lot more of my dies and stamps and that. So I did do that. Now, the basis of the pages and a lot of the ephemera is the suspension files. So I did die cut a lot of bits out of suspension file as well. So that's what I did here. And then I used some of my transparency film and I alcohol inked it and then stamped on it. And that can be used as a tuck spot too in behind there for whoever gets this. And that's one of my little dictionary meanings, which I have done a video on previously, which I'll try and remember the link down below. I loved that, adding that, so I'll have to make some more of those. So this is a book spine that I've just sewn on to create a pocket, and I've added this tag, and the little ticket comes out. So I'll just slip that in there, if I can. Tab getting stuck. Bridge score pad in behind, little tuck spot. This is a fly page of a book that I had that says give instruction to a wise man. I thought that was neat for this journal. So, and that just flips open with a paper hinge there. There's a bit of writing space there. And then there's an antique advertisement for typewriters. Typewriters. And then we've got some journal, just blank journal pages mainly in here. So these are all vintage pages. So I've got some ledger paper, some information on typewriters and typesetting, school journal page. So I thought I could just leave these nice and blank. They're easy to write on that way. And then put the ephemera in on the suspension file pages. Diagram of a typewriter. So I've inserted all the signatures with 5-hole pamphlet stitch, so they're not going anywhere. But as I said, it doesn't quite sit flat because because of the belt and everything around the spine and all the bulk that I've got of the ephemera and that, but it's still firm enough and sits flat enough to be written in quite easily. So various ledger pages there. I've just rounded the corner on most of these pages. Then again, I did layering on this page to create a tuck spot. And this is an envelope from the Tickets Please set. There's nothing in the envelope, so that can be filled up with whatever. Vintage typewriter picture and a label on there. That sits in there. Then I did more layering here. Now, I've got to remember what I've done here so I don't forget to show you anything. Slipped in this pocket is this little slide that I've made with some more transparency film and a vintage picture with the label. And then we've got the chain attached that has this tiny little tag. It's just got the word write on it. I could back that with some writing paper, although you can write on that anyway. So that just slips in this top pocket here. Now these are all pieces that were on this page that I have reprinted and layered up. So on here I found these, I would have found them in the second-hand store, these little brads, and they had the little resin pieces that you could stick on top so you could create your own embellished brads. So I've just stuck a book page number in there, and I thought that looked pretty cool, so I've just put that on there. And then I've made that tuck spot, so I've got a little journaling card in there. It just slips under there. And then in here is just a little picture of an old house. And like I said, they're all backed with your old book page. That slips in there. Now this flips open. I've left this all blank, so there's still room for more to be added for whoever gets it. And this belly band just has a bit cut out of an Encyclopedia Britannica, a new survey of universal knowledge. And then this is an Encyclopedia Britannica envelope that you'd probably send off to order your books. Have a few of them hanging around here that I got some stamps in once. And then in my antique magazine there were these adverts, and one of them has something about Encyclopedia Britannica as well, so that was interesting. And then this is the fly page from an Encyclopedia Britannica. So I thought that all goes together all right, so I'll whack that in. So that just slips in there nicely. So yeah, I had so much fun with this. So I layered this page up as well. So all these pages that I've done the layering with come from the Fragmentology journal pages, and they just lend themselves so nicely to doing this sort of layering. I'm definitely going to make more of this style of journal because I had so much fun. So behind here I've made a tuck spot, and I've put one of the embellishments from the kit in, and just made a little material tab. So that slips in there. And then in this little pocket I've put in this lovely gentleman. And one of the flashcards or word cards come from the embellishment kit. Now, this is the page that I did on video as well, and I'll try to remember to link that video down below, the process video, because we did that first tag that I showed you, and then this layered page on there. And there's my poor paper clip. It's just a bit, the paper I think I should have, might have to make another one to put here. I should have backed the paper just to make it a little more sturdy because I've been using it a lot. It's a bit wobbly there, but that's all right. So we'll have a look at this. So again, lots of layering. This little tuck spot here. And then in here is this tag. And that tag's from Tickets Please. You can tell what's from the Tickets Please because it's collaged with heaps of tickets. And I've added a label. It's a beautiful old bike. And then the numbers come from one of your old Australian, not encyclopedias, or was it? Or chronicle book, I think. And I cut out all the dates, which took forever, but I'm loving using them to embellish things. And then I've added this little label and word on the top of the tickets there. So that slips down in there. You can leave that dangling, but just so it doesn't get annoying, I just tuck it in behind there. So it's that paper clip that we've got this spirit charm on. And then over here, we have, if we take our little paper clip off, we've got this tag that's attached to this bit of the file folder. It says novel notes that come out of the antique book as well. And that's a little tuck spot here with another word card and ticket from the kit. So they slip in there. And then you can flip that down And we've got another tuck spot here that's got a tag. Now I haven't embellished that because it would be hard to fit in the little tuck spot. I've just backed it. Got a gentleman there, so that slips in there. And then I've got new books. I thought I'd just leave them like that. They can be written on, lists could be added there, or pictures or whatever. And then I've just stapled together some old vintage receipt paper. Then we've got a bit of an advert. I think it says "Write for Interesting Booklet Free," whatever that means. Don't think it's the whole ad. I cut it off, but I really like that little bit, so we'll put that back there. Flip that up. So there's still room to do a fair bit in this, but it was hard to stop putting stuff in it. Hence why it got a bit bulky, considering the spine's pretty little. I should have probably made it bigger, but I will. So this is the front page of the Bookman magazine that I did rip into. So I thought I'd add that because it's beautiful. Now I did reinforce it with a paper hinge on the inside here because it is very old. This is, I can't remember what ICS, International Correspondence Schools Reference Library front page. I just like it because it's got arithmetic elements of algebra, logarithms, all this sort of fancy stuff. But I've just hinged it in so you can still use the page underneath. By this stage, I was running out of things to, not running out of things to put in here. I think I was running out of energy and space, and I didn't want to bulk it up anymore. So I just grabbed a few old pages to put in here for interest, because I didn't want to leave blank pages, but then I didn't want to bulk it up much. So gets like that at the end, doesn't it? Yeah, beautiful gentleman. I love this picture with the top hats. And so this second signature has another lot of journal space, and I made this one sort of based on money in some ways. So we've got some 1960 diary page, profit and loss information, more ledger, some table. This is from an old stamp album. Got the glassine there. And this is the stamp album page, and you can see where the little stamp hinges have been because there's little bits of glue there still where I've taken stamps off. But I thought I still wanted to reuse the paper. I think this is from geometry or something. Book, yeah, analytic geometry. This is Victorian Railways Rolling Stock Branch Sundry account. So I've put an envelope in the middle here. I stuck it sort of the wrong way, I think, there. I usually do it the other way around and put this on the outside, but oh well. So I've sewn that in and then stuck it down so that turns like a page, so you can just stick whatever you want in there. And that flips out. And we've got the other side of all those pages. I've corner rounded the bigger pages, the smaller pages I didn't bother with. Pitman Shorthand Instructor, front page of one of those books. I have a couple of those. So again, this is one that I just hinged. So you can flip it down, still use the page underneath. Another reason I put them at the start and back of this middle section was so they didn't create bulk in this writing area. Okay. And then we've got this layered page here. So in the back here we have this journaling card. I didn't realise till after I stuck it onto this blank book page that it had the writing on the back, but then I read it and it says printed in England at the Oxford University Press, and a lot of the bits and pieces in here about printing and that, so I thought that is quite good, so I'll leave it there, and it looks quite nice, so it doesn't bother me. So put that in there, and then that's a little tuck spot there that has this little tag. I just used all sorts on that one. It's a fragmentology tag that I backed onto the suspension file, backed with the book page. Then it's got, I don't know if it's a code, like a price code, illuminated letter out of a book, and then one of my stamped bits. And then I have attached to this tag that I layered another one of the word cards that says antique. Some string and that. And that just sits in there. To the other side of the Bookman cover. With this one, I have sewn it to create a pocket. And I have just put in here some receipts, so they can be written on. Picture of a house and one of the words from the fragmentology ephemera. So it says the Bookman's table here, and it's front page of an ethics book, which I thought, when you're dealing with money, you know, you're in a printing business and you're dealing with money, there's a lot of ethics involved when it comes to writing and money and that sort of thing. So I thought that was fair. So I've used one of these tabs as a hinge for this one, and I've used a bit of one of the labels just to hold it in there or hold it down. So you flip that up, and we've got this coin pack, which is nickels, and then we've got some, these come out of a magazine or something, they're Australian dollars or something, so it doesn't really go, the nickels and the dollars, but anyway. So yeah, and I've backed them so they can be written on as well. Just a bit of fun. Had so much fun finding all these bits and pieces and finding somewhere to put them in here. So love that. One of my dies again that I'm trying to use, picture of a man, and I've got some faux postcards that I made ages ago. I'll try and find the link of where I made these as well so that you can check them out if you like. I do have a process video, and they've just got a stamp on the back of them, or some stamping and a stamp. And one of the beautiful antique adverts that is for a pencil. They're so beautiful. I love the sort of sepia colouring on there. I'll slip that in there. So I've sewn around all the hanging file pages as well. And the pages that aren't the kit pages are all your coloured book fly pages. So beautiful gentlemen in their top hats here as well. Had to put that picture in, I love that. Made that a pocket. And it's got guest check in there. And on this side we have a paper clip. Just checking that I'm not going to ruin anything. And it's holding in this Bank of New South Wales cheque. It's just a blank cheque. These are from, I think, the 1930s, around about then. And they're beautiful. So I just like the colour of that, so I thought I'd add one of those there. Then here I've made this little layered pocket, and it has an advert of A Brief History of Education in there. That slips in there. And then in the back is this advert for Minty's Oxford Varsity Sectional Bookcase. Another antique advert, that, which I've backed as well. So here is one of the Ticket Please pockets, and in there is one of the fragmentology embellished or ephemera. So it's a library card. Great Expectations. It's a nice journaling spot. And then I thought, because I have the back of this Arnos clip or whatever here, that it was too good to just leave it as is. So I had to add something dangling from that. So again, I used one of my never used dies and cut out some of the suspension folder and put in this little quote, which comes with the kit. And it says, "If I do not write to empty my mind, I go mad." And that's from Lord Byron. So, and then I just backed it so it can be written on. So this is a flip out, which goes that way. It's got this gentleman there. And then on this side it has some more bits and pieces from the antique magazine. It's got the poetry bookshop, and then I've put a poem in there. And then you flip it out again, and the clip holds in some pages to write on. So it's got some more diary page and ledgers. I didn't overfill this. You can, of course, take this apart and add and take pages out, so you can fill it up as much as you want. I didn't want to overfill it because I knew that this book was going to get quite big as it was. So whoever gets this is welcome to take stuff out, add more pages, or take all the pages out. And then you can use the space underneath, of course. And then on this side, I've got one of your stitch slots from Tim Holtz and a label. And I've put in some tickets here. Now, these are all authentic vintage tickets. And then backed it with some of your Encyclopedia Britannica paper. So then that folds up again like that and like that. Pull my book back over. So yeah, that's just been hinged there with some material. And do we see that pocket? No, it's one of my tickets please pockets and another one of my faux postcards. And I love this one because I did these a year or so ago, but this one's Fisher Knight & Co. commercial printers, bookbinders, relief stampers, engravers. So perfect for this journal. Couldn't believe it when I found that. So that slips in there. And then one of the labels, picture of a gentleman. It was so good to be able to use these pictures of these gentlemen. So many, you know, we're always using these beautiful ladies that we get, and I get so many pictures of the men, and they usually get binned, to be honest, because I know that, like, you know, the ladies are so popular and that. But then I thought, no, I'm going to start keeping, and I'm so glad I did because I love this. I'm going to make heaps more of this style, I think. So that's a thread that I'm going to have to fix up by the looks. Okay. And then the last page, I've just done a little tuck here with this beautiful bike, and I stuck this envelope in. I have a whole heap of these here, and I love the colour of it, so I've just put that in. I might end up putting a couple of tags and that from the kit in here for whoever gets this journal to play with if they like. And then on the back, I created a waterfall. It's another one of the dies I've got here. So there's an antique advert for the LG Sloan's World's Strongest Rubber Bands. So, and I used an old pin, an old oxidized pin, and some material just to hold this down. Not that it really needs it, but I like the way it looks too. And so I've used kit pieces just on the tops. I haven't embellished them because it just gets too chunky. Whoever gets this can add, you know, photographs or embellish it more if they want to. And then underneath there's ledger paper, so it can be journaled on. And then instead of making the last one a flip up, I decided to make it a pocket, and in there is a little tag as well. Again, it hasn't been embellished because we want to be able to slip it in and out of the pocket. And just another little antique piece from the magazine. So that is it. I hope you enjoyed that. I had so much fun. Thank you so much, Tracie. That was just, yeah, heaps and heaps of fun. Those kits went so nicely together for the vintage style. I'll definitely be making some more of these. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Take care of yourselves. Be good, and I will see you again soon. Bye.